territory where Carlos Bulosan once lived to tell the story of the rain, sweat, glory of Mike Jackson men who fight the destination we were destined to end. Left a writing on the wall in the halls of the Nippon Khan. Others transformed, majority Decepticons. But my conception of the...
All right. Episode 51. This is Kevin. That's Brian. It's the Wait for It Seattle podcast. I'm trying to promote the podcast. It's been a year. I think we need to find new listeners, spice things up a little bit.
So related to that, we get these like AI clips of our podcast, and I put it on my Instagram, and I did get a couple people who were commenting who maybe not listening.
Oh wow!
But also, my family said, "We thought you had a new episode when you were putting on your," so they were mad. So they'll be excited. I think maybe I need to post it like immediately when there actually is a new episode.
Yes. So I read something that said you should just post it every single day. And I probably don't have the time or the effort to do so. Yeah. But I'm going to try to do that because I think it did work. We got people.
Oh, nice.
So,
well, if you're new and you're listening, episode 51 means we're 1 week away from our 1 year anniversary. It's also the Ichiro episode. I mean, there's just no other debate.
Yeah, and also the Randy Johnson episode.
I know, but like, and you know that I've talked about this multiple times on the podcast. I mean, it really is the Ichiro. Yeah. He's a legend. So
yeah,
Randy, love you, but it's the Ichiro episode.
I have a good hypo for you.
Okay.
So Mill Creek.
By that you mean hypothetical?
Yes. Lawyer talk. I don't know. Hypo.
Really? Is that a thing lawyers say? Hypo?
No, we say hypo all the time.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I'm ready.
Mill Creek Sports Cards has this thing where you can submit an item and Ichiro will sign it privately. So he's not doing one of those things where people line up and then you get to meet him. He signs it, takes a picture. Ichiro's not doing that.
You get it back later or something.
Yeah, you submit it and then they give it back to you. So my question for you is, what would you have Ichiro sign? And how much would you be willing to pay for it? Because I have it right in front of me. I'm going to pull it up right now. And then you can tell me how much you'd pay for it. And I'll tell you if you can afford it.
Well, I'm a bad example for this because I took Felix, my youngest son, who's 11 years old, to spring training 2 years ago. And we got Cal Raleigh and Andres Munoz autographs, which are great autographs. And I have no idea where that baseball is. I don't know if it's in his room. I don't know where it is. So I don't think I should get any autographs. So I'm a bad example.
Okay.
I got nothing. Should I have him sign my Franklin Gutierrez jersey?
I'll give you 4 options. You can either get like a ticket signed. Who has those?
Oh, that would be cool.
Balls. Pictures 16 by 20.
That's the best option.
Funko Pops.
I think a picture is the best option because I'd actually frame it and put it on the wall and then I wouldn't lose it. So give me the picture. Give me the picture.
$250 for that.
All right.
If you want a mini helmet, $300, and then bats, jerseys, and equipment, $400.
A jersey and a bat sign should not be the same to me.
Yeah.
But
so for me, I would probably do like a baseball card. Because it's simple. I'd give them like a rookie card to sign, but I thought it was a really cool thing.
Do you think if I got Super to sign my Rebel Black Super jersey, which I would absolutely frame and put on my wall, it would be more or less than $250?
I think less.
Yeah. Well, it should be more.
Yeah.
Kev, your Seattle Storm. We're gonna start there today.
Yeah.
Okay? But I have a gimmick because I always do, and you either. I feel like you either love my gimmicks or you just go along with them because you're a good guy. So I don't know what made me think of this, but I think today we're going to use 80s game shows that were on television. Okay.
Okay.
Some of these you'll know because you probably watched them in syndication or on Nickelodeon when you were growing up. So the Storm, the game show we're going to use is Double Dare. You had to have watched Double Dare.
I kind of barely remember it.
Okay. Okay, well, that's fine. Double Dare was a show where there's 2 teams. Sometimes they'd have family Double Dare, right? And they'd have a game show format, and they do trivia. And, like, one team would get the question. If they didn't know it, they'd say dare. If the other team got it and they didn't know it, they'd say double dare. And if the team went back to the team and they still didn't know it, they would say will take the physical challenge. And then the physical challenge was something absolutely absurd, like a giant nose that they'd have to like pick
Okay,
flags out
for
of,
some
and
reason I
then the
remember that.
slime would come down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
All kinds of silly, ridiculous, where they just end up drenched in slime, right? So Nickelodeon slime kind of came out of Double Dare. Okay, why are the Seattle Storm Double Dare? Because I feel like the Seattle Storm are operating in a way, especially because they played the Las Vegas Aces and Jewel Lloyd today, where they're like, past the trivia, we want the physical challenge. Like everything's about a physical challenge for the Storm. They play physical defense. They are a physical basketball team, and I am here on this podcast to publicly apologize to Coach Noel Quinn, who last week I said, I don't know, after their 0-1 start. They had a 3-0 week since we last talked, beating the Mercury, who were good, who they lost to in game one. They beat the Wings with Paige Beckers. And today they absolutely smoked the Las Vegas Aces, who is a title favorite with Jewel Lloyd. The Storm are good, and they're playing a physical defensive brand of basketball. How much have you watched this week?
I watched the Mercury game, and then I watched the highlights of the game today.
Okay.
And I saw one clip from the Paige Beckers game of her blowing up a screen. Although that wasn't really a Storm highlight.
Paige is good, by the way.
Yeah.
I would at a different time we can talk about the rookie class in the WNBA for those who are interested. I have lots of thoughts. I'm watching a crazy amount of WNBA. The Storm's games, I don't know if it's the 44 game season, if it's the way they're playing. Every game is physical, to go back to the theme, like it's a playoff game. That Mercury game, they were in each other's faces. Screens were getting set. People were falling on the ground. Skylar Diggins, to your point last week, who was like, I don't know if she can do it enough. I'm not throwing you under the bus here, Kev,
Yeah.
but she's averaging 19 points, 8.8 assists, and she's shooting 45% from three.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. NECA is at 20.5 points, 10 rebounds a game, and shooting 59% from the field. So they're two Hall of Fame caliber players who are up in years, are playing out of their minds. They're awesome.
Do you think they were juiced up for the Jewel Lloyd?
Oh, my
Revenge
goodness.
game?
Yes. I watched specifically the end of the game to see what happened. Eze Magabor hugged Jewel. No one else acknowledged her. Neko, who is a really, for all intents and purposes, people say a nice person, right? Walked by her to throw something in the crowd. No acknowledgement.
I'm just
I
want
know.
to know what happened.
Something happened. Jewel Lloyd was quoted this week in a Las Vegas newspaper saying like basically like the life and the joy had been sucked out of her. She's happy to be somewhere where she's joyous. I'm like, something. But the Storm are playing with joy. They're playing cohesively. They had 30 something assists today. They scored 102 points on the Aces. They are second in the WNBA in 3-point percentage, which is the biggest factor to me for the Storm this year. I wrote it in the preview. I was wrong about rebounding. Right now, it doesn't matter if they rebound at all. They're not even a great rebounding team, but they're good defensively. They are third in the NBA in assists and second in 3-point percentage, and they are really playing well. I want to add two more things quick, unless you got something for me. Go
Nope,
ahead.
nothing.
Okay. Erica Wheeler off the bench, who I advocated for months and said she's a key to the season. She had 21 today. She's awesome as a spark plug. And then I can't stop talking about Gabby Williams. I love her. She's so good on defense, and she's starting to feel comfortable. And the Storm, like their ceiling is higher, but their ceiling will really be higher if Noel Quinn will play Dominic Malunga, their rookie.
There you go.
She had in like 9 minutes today, she had like 8 points and 5 rebounds. She needs to play. And I'm hoping she got the confidence today from Quinn has the confidence in her today to play her moving forward because she can do it offensively. She's not there defensively, but offensively, she is so skilled. She's really, really good.
Well,
So I'm excited.
Looking
excited.
forward to
Yeah.
this week's slate of games.
Physical challenge, Double Dare, Seattle Storm.
Now we're going to transition to the Seattle Mariners, who are still in first place. Every week they're in first place. I'm going to say it over and over again because it just feels good.
It's a
Um,
great transition to the game show for the Mariners. So
yeah, tell us what the
this
game
came
show.
back on the air. Maybe you've seen it. Press Your Luck.
No.
Okay. I loved Kev. I can't describe to you how many afternoons as a teenager I watched this show. It was on, I think it must have even been on syndication when I was young. Press Your Luck. Imagine a person, big board around them, and like the light would go between squares, right? And it's going, and then you press down on a button to stop it.
Yeah.
And it would be like $5,000. And it's like, so now you have $5,000. And you have a certain number of turns that you earn, I think, through trivia questions, and then you would do it again. But what you don't want to hit is a whammy. So it would land on this guy, this little creature there, and be like, "Wah, wah," and it was a whammy. And if you got to, and so people would do it and go, come on, big money, no whammy, no whammy, no whammy, stop. And they'd press the button. And then if it was not a whammy, they'd get excited. If it was a whammy, they would lose a turn. Anyway, people who watch this are going nuts right now. They're so excited, let me tell you. But it's perfect for the Mariners because it feels like how they're pressing their luck all the time right now. And I know that like you laugh at me because the moods go up and down, right? We were they swept the Padres, then they went 2 out of 3 against the White Sox, but it was really pressing their luck, right? A Julio grand slam, a Tavares 2-run homer, and then the Astros, they lost 3 out of 4. And every game, it's just kind of like, can we get Emerson Hancock to go again? And Logan Evans, and Kirby's first game back wasn't great. They're in first place, 100%. They're pressing their luck. And I would like to see the Mariners maybe do something so they don't have to press their luck. That would be my theme.
Uh,
Specifically, go ahead.
no. Go ahead.
I was going to say specifically Donovan Solano and maybe Mitch Garver, who both have had better games the last 2 days. So it's kind of, maybe it's bad timing, but since I did some research for you, see my paper here, Donovan
Yeah.
Solano, I mean, he's hitting 190 since May 1st, which is higher than his average for the season.
I mean, if you looked at his average from the season to where it is now, it's gone like this. It's gone
Right.
in a straight line up. Like,
So
it hasn't gone down.
if since May 1st your average is 190 and that's higher than your season average, that's pathetic. What are you doing on the roster? And since May 1st, they're running up Ben Williamson, who I really like, but has a 217 average. JP's hitting 229 this month. Who was the other one? Polanco's at 158 since May 1st. And he's definitely dealing it with an injury. And again, they got Logan Evans and then Hancock. They're pressing their luck.
Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
can we see Cole Young or Harry Ford? Can we do something?
Yeah. Or pitchers
just-
are coming back.
You're just gonna move on.
Yeah.
No whammy, stop is what Kevin says.
So was I supposed to press my luck?
No. I'm just saying like that's what you would do. You would
Yeah.
just keep
I would
pressing.
just,
You're like,
eventually one of these guys is going to get injured or be so, I mean, they're comically bad right now. Like, um, uh, he can't really move Polanco, but I think Solano's not going to be on this roster in July.
yeah, but why do we have to wait till July? Like, what is he doing now? And I get that they don't really like Ford doesn't play first base, neither does Cole Young. You're not going to do that. But if you brought up Cole Young and played him at second, you could play Dylan Moore at first. Is Dylan Moore as a right-handed platoon at first worse defensively than Donovan Solano? He can't be.
I mean, maybe.
I don't think Donovan Solano's 38 years old. He doesn't look nimble out there when I'm watching. And Mitch Garver's the backup catcher. And I actually think they probably hold on to Garver and see what happens. But I don't know. I'd love for them to make a trade, to do something, to not. This is what the Mariners do, right? Last year they had a 10-game lead. They waited, and then it was too late.
Yeah.
And I'm not. I know it sounds like last week I was all hopeful, and this week I'm not. I just. The reality of their hitting struggles, even when they won 2 out of 3 against Chicago, was evident. Like they were struggling to hit. They struggled to hit this series. They come back home. Maybe it'll get better. To your point, Bryce Miller's coming back. So maybe, yeah.
George Kirby is back.
Kirby, I'm sure he'll be better than he was the first
Yeah.
start. Um, I'm
Logan
gonna,
Gilbert also threw a simulated game.
yeah. Talk about pressing your luck. This doesn't really fit, but let me talk about one more thing, and then we talk about a simulated game. So, a guy who presses his luck, or the Mariners are pressing their luck with, is Casey Lawrence. I just had to talk about this.
Yeah. Who's Casey Lawrence, by the way?
Casey Lawrence is 37 years old, and he's a reliever on the Mariners. Okay, so he's 37. He's at the end of his career. He has been so because he's so old and been in the league long enough, they can't just send him to the minors. He's out of minor league options. So every time they want to send him down, they have to designate him for assignment or DFA him, which means he goes through the waivers process. Any other team can pick him up, and then he can elect to be a free agent or he can accept the minor league assignment and go to the Tacoma Rainiers. Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
He has been DFA'd or designated for assignment 5 times this year
It's wild.
by the Seattle Mariners. One time the Blue Jays picked him up on waivers. He pitched for the Blue Jays, was designated for assignment again, and signed another minor league contract with the Mariners so that he could do the same thing over again. He just pitched in Chicago like 5 innings because they didn't have a pitcher because Kirby wasn't back yet, all that stuff. And they every time he pitches, he goes like 4 innings, 5 innings, and they designate him for assignment again. And he just passed through waivers, and he's now back with the Tacoma Rainiers. And he'll be up again. He'll be up again this year. It's unbelievable. It's such a I want to have him on the podcast. I want to talk about it. I have questions.
How does it feel to be fired and rehired 5 times?
Yeah, I probably wouldn't ask it like that, Kev, but that's real kind of you. But I want to know like logistics. Like, how much do you get paid for your 6 days in the majors? You know what I mean? I'm sure we could find that out somehow.
Yeah.
Do they tell you before you're going to pitch, we're going to do this again? You know what I mean? Like, he must know it's happening. And is it just that you're 37 and you're holding on for as long as you can and you're going to do it? Is it, did they ever offer you a major league contract where then you had, can you ever have options again? Probably not. I'm fascinated by all of it.
That is that is
Yeah,
insane.
it's insane.
It seems like baseball careers get really sad or really weird after the age
Yeah.
of 45.
It's a good call. Yeah.
Simulated games, by the way, I texted you this and it
Yeah.
said it would be really cool to get like a primer on what a simulated game is.
Yeah, I read a little bit about this one. This one was really interesting. So Bryce Miller and Logan Gilbert. So they were pitching in Houston, and they had Leo Rivas and Donovan Solano actually batting against them. So guys who need extra at bats, right?
Oh, interesting. See, I just assumed these were like minor leaguers that would
No,
do these simulated-
no. They have those two guys. So they're not putting Julio up there just in case he gets hit by a pitch. It's Solano and Rivas. Like, we need you to do this.
And Solano
And-
needs batting practice.
Yeah. And so Rivas got a hit, I guess, but none of the others did. Miller pitched in an inning, and then he went to the dugout and sat down as if he were pitching. And while he pitched, Gilbert pitched an inning. So the hitters just stayed up there. Gilbert pitched an inning. When he's done, he goes and sits down. Miller came back up, and they both did 2 innings like that. So the way it's a simulated game is you don't just have them throw a bullpen where you throw 35 pitches.
Yeah.
You simulate a game, 3 batters, or if there's a hit, you have to go 4 batters. They can control it in the pitch count a little bit, but they have them go sit down for a length of time that would be like a half inning and then come back up. Because with arm injuries, that's a big part of it, is what happens when it gets a little bit cold and then you have to go pitch again.
Yeah, and that's what they're trying to do, is to see, is this person ready to come back?
Yep.
I was reading a June 2005 article on slate.com and it was explaining what a simulated baseball game is, and some other things that happen here are there's no fielders.
Right.
And so the catcher or the umpire, the designated umpire, whoever that is, calls, like, if there's like a line drive, they're like, oh yeah, that's a hit. If it's a weak
Right.
ground ball, it's a ground ball. So then you're also simulating, oh, guy on first, guy on second.
Right.
Okay, I'm gonna throw from not the windup, but
The
from
stretch. Yep.
And there's all these different things. Sometimes pitching coaches will use stadium sounds to make it more realistic.
Oh,
And
wow.
So you'll have stadium sounds going on. I was just wondering because I had no idea. Like, I always thought it would just be like counting pitches, right? and you're not even in a stadium. You're just um, like
Yeah, I
a
think when you hear
bullpen
that,
area,
that's when they say like they had
throwing
a
session.
bullpen session
Yeah,
is what they call them now, right? And they
yeah.
both had that. It sounds like Miller will probably be back on. I'm thinking Friday of next week or this coming week. He won't pitch in the first series. They already announced the starters for that one. But I think he'll come off the injured list for Friday. That's what he seemed to think. So the start of the Twin series, I think.
Yep.
So that's good. I mean, hopefully, the bad news is he basically was quoted as saying, "Yeah, there's something in my elbow, and if they fix it, I'll be out for the year. So we're just gonna deal with it." I was like, "Cool,
Oof.
cool, cool. I'm sure that's gonna go great." But Logan Gilbert not having any setbacks is bigger and more important than Bryce Miller.
That's a
As much,
big
and I
plus.
love Bryce Miller. So you're right. If they can press their luck and stay in first place as long as possible, or in the hunt even, and get these pitchers back, then maybe they do have the move in them to do something besides Donovan Solano.
Yeah.
So, all right, next up.
Next up, Sounders.
Yeah,
So before we get into the meat of this, I do want to bring this up with you because I was listening about or I read an article about the Club Cup that's coming up and the ticket
FIFA
prices.
Club World Cup. Yeah,
Yeah. So you were telling me about not complaining, but you're telling me how expensive these tickets were.
yeah.
And apparently, either it was either FIFA or the whoever was in charge of the tickets, they were making these tickets super expensive at the start, and they realized they weren't selling any tickets. So this past week or past 2 weeks, they dropped the ticket prices in half. So you can go and get a ticket for like
Oh,
45 bucks. But
interesting.
all these people that bought tickets,
Oh, they're pissed. I'm
they're
sure.
pissed, right? Because they're paying like $200, $300 for to get priority, right?
Yeah.
And so they sent out a survey and they're trying to get a sense of who basically essentially got ripped off. So I thought that was an interesting. I just wanted to
Yeah,
bring that up
it
because
has dropped. I'm looking at SeatGeek right now.
yeah,
It's $96 for a ticket. It used to be about 200. I don't. That's not the official Ticketmaster, obviously.
yeah.
Um, Interesting. Yeah. Um, that's part of the theme for the Sounders is I picked American Gladiators. Did you ever watch that?
No, I
God,
guess I
Kev,
just don't
you're
watch
just not old
TV.
enough because, well,
Yeah,
no, they're all 80s, right? So
yeah.
it's like my childhood.
But they ran it back though. They ran
They
back
did.
like
American
yeah.
Gladiators was awesome.
John Ryan was on
So
it.
you had all these like super buff, probably steroided out men and women who are gladiators, and they would take two normal people ish who are trying to compete, and they would run gauntlets and do exercises against the gladiators, and they try to beat them. And at the end, there was like a great obstacles course. It's like that show Wipeout or whatever it is on ABC where they run the gauntlet and they fall down and stuff. It's kind of similar. But they would have like gladiators like hitting them with like pads and stuff as they went. It was great.
I
So
love the idea that it's a normal person because I feel like normal people don't understand athletes like they can't. Uh, I forgot if it was Bill Simmons proposed this, but we need to see what an average athlete looks
yeah.
against like a normal like me and
Yeah,
you.
I think people had to try out though, so I don't know that they were totally average. They were people who had passed through who could compete.
Yeah,
Um, American Ninja Warrior kind of the obstacle
that's what
course
John
and
Ryan was on.
it's kind of like similar in terms of the obstacle part, except for there's people like trying to knock them over. So they would go against the gladiators. They do like jousting and I mean all kinds of crazy stuff. So it was a gauntlet to try and go through, and that's where I feel like the Sounders are right now, right?
Yeah,
So this Club World Cup, they're about to enter a gauntlet. They're going to face PSG, who's in the Champions League final in one of their group games, which means they're one of the best clubs in Europe right now. They're going to face them at Lumen Field, which is super cool. Again, as Kev said, go get tickets if they're that cheap because that's awesome. Um, they are in the stretch where they play a game this Wednesday against, I think, San Diego. June is going to be tough on the Sounders. It won't be as tough on other MLS squads, but the Sounders are in the Club World Cup. So they're kind of in this stretch here.
by the way, did you know there's payouts for this? So
Well, that's a big controversy right now.
yeah, because the players won't get paid. I think they're limited by what
They
they're
want
going to get
more.
paid,
Yeah.
but they want more. But If you win this whole thing, the club gets paid 40 million.
Yeah, it's not happening. The Sounders are not winning this thing.
If you get to the quarterfinals, 13 million. Semifinals, 21 million, and
That's
if you
pretty
get to the
amazing.
finals, 30 million. It's a lot of
That's
money.
that's a lot of money. That's why this tournament exists essentially, right? Is to gain
Yeah.
revenue. That's why the Sounders were excited to get in it because they will get some revenue just by playing. Not to mention, well, I don't know what their ticket revenue would be like, but I'm assuming you would get like
Well, even in the group
concessions,
stage,
right?
even in the group stage, sorry, this is you get a 2 million per win in the group stage.
Oh wow. Yeah. So maybe they can pull off one. Um Related to this, I saw this thing that said the Seattle Reign don't play a home game until August.
Is it because of this?
Yeah, because the whole summer is the Club World Cup because Lumen is a site and they're doing it all in the US where they're hosting not just Sounders matches, but other matches and everything. So there's a lot of good soccer coming to Seattle.
So the Rain are just going to be playing at Starfire.
Well, they have a club break in July also, an international break. No, all their games are on the road. They're playing road games and then they have an international break and then they come back.
Talk about unfair.
But as it rains, well, I don't think the Sounders are playing at home except for this Club World Cup either.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the Sounders are interesting. They're fifth in possession in MLS, 10th in expected goals, third in MLS in shot creating actions per 90 minutes. I really like how they're playing heading into this. I like their lineup. They just have dynamic options even without Jordan Morris. So I really want to see like more of Ryan Kent, who we've talked about before, with Jesus Ferreira, Albert Rusnak, Pedro de la Vega. If they can all be healthy, I I mean I want to see what they look like against PSG. That'd be amazing. But
It'd be fun.
yeah, we have a
It's gonna
couple of
be
weeks
fun.
before that, so we can talk more about it as we get closer. Um, let's transition to the Rain, the other soccer team in town. I want to talk about this game show. There's no way you've seen this. In fact, I don't know how many listeners have seen this. This was in my stage. Like, I watched a lot of MTV. They had this game show called Remote Control. And it was like you would have a big physical remote control and you would compete in like a trivia game. And they were skits and it was like supposed to be funny. I think Colin, God, what's his last name?
Jost?
No, way older. Somebody will remember this listening. I'm not going to remember his name now. But this is going to sound terrible. The reason I chose remote control for the Rain is sometimes I just want to get the remote control and change the
Change
channel.
it.
Do you know why?
Because they're bad or because they're boring?
They're boring.
It's a style of the play
Yeah,
thing.
it's not bad. They're not. They're in the mix. Kev, they're boring. The
Yeah.
Rain are boring. So all the things I said about the Sounders, who have absolutely been accused of being boring, but again, 10th in expected goals in the MLS in a big league,
Yeah.
third in shot creating actions per 90 minutes, right? So with Ryan Kent and all these guys, they have like this new, they have a dynamic offense. The Rain are not dynamic. They are second lowest in the NWSL in expected goals. 8.7 on the season. 8.7 goals, which means they have probably less than 8 goals total on the season. They've only scored more than one goal one time this year. They've scored 1 or 0 in almost every single match. And they have the fourth lowest possession out of 14 teams. So it's not just that they don't shoot, which they don't. I was watching the broadcast this week and they were talking about how they just don't create stuff. Even the team has talked about this, but they don't even possess the ball. So it's just watching women run around a field. That's what
Yeah.
they're doing.
Yeah.
It's not fun. So give me the remote control. Let me switch the channel right now until they start scoring some goals and doing some things that are dynamic. They just pass the ball around and then they have just awful execution in the final third right now.
Yep.
They don't
Yep.
get anything towards the goal. Okay, I'm done with my rant on the Rain. I need a break, Kev.
Uh,
Not really. We have one more.
what's the newlywed game?
Okay.
Can you educate me? I mean, I think this is just the
This is
thing
one you
where,
might know,
yeah,
right?
I mean, this is just the thing where
Tell me what you think the newlywed game is.
I think it's the thing where you fill out a survey before and then you have to
Hmm.
guess what your partner
Yeah,
said.
yeah.
They do this all the time at summer camp and retreats and
Oh, weird. Why are they having newlyweds at summer
well,
camps? That's weird.
no, the game where you have to it's like the icebreaker, right?
Yes,
That sort of
right.
thing. Yeah.
So with the newlywed game, they were, you know, newly married couples who would do it
Yeah.
and quiz each other. Um, it doesn't sound that fun to watch. But I picked the newlywed game for our Seattle Kraken, and here's where it's related to. Did you know the U.S. hockey team won a big match today? Oh, I called it a match. That's funny.
No idea.
Um, they won the International Hockey Championship. I don't know what the equivalent in another sport. Kind of like you know how in basketball there was that FIBA World Cup the other
Yeah.
year
Yeah.
where the U.S. lost, and then that's why all those guys decided to play in the Olympics.
Yeah.
It's like that. Like Sidney Crosby, you probably know that name from the Penguins,
Yeah.
big time hockey player. He played for Canada. So like the best players who are not playing in the hockey playoffs are playing in this. Okay. The US won the whole thing today. It's the first time in 92 years they've won this.
Damn.
So the US does not win this tournament. It's a big deal. And three Kraken players were on the team. Joey Decord, a backup forward they traded for, who I can never even remember his name. It's terrible. But Matty Beniers, Matty Beniers played 19 minutes today in the championship, and Matty Beniers was good. He was like playing in the rotation, and he had 3 goals and 2 assists. I think I want to say in the tournament itself. And you're still like, why is this the newlywed game? I could see it in your face because they don't have a coach yet, the Kraken.
Yeah.
And whoever the coach is needs to find how to untap Matty Beniers.
Yeah, Matty
He needs to
Beniers.
know what's on that sheet that Matty Beniers has to make him the player he
The
needs to
star
be.
player. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he needs to do the same with Shane Wright and Berkeley Cadden, who we talked about last week.
Love
And
that name.
all these young players, Capo Caco, another great
Love
name.
that name.
All these guys, they need to find the coach who's going to unlock the rookies and the young people and get them to shine. And Matty Beniers clearly can play at the world stage for the United States of America, understanding not everyone's available for this, but he's in the rotation, he's playing, and he seemingly played well. Let's find somebody who can find Matty Beniers, quote, answers and become newlyweds. How about that?
We should do newlyweds, me and you.
Oh, okay.
Year
Yeah,
after. Yeah.
sure. Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah. Future
Maybe
episode.
tune in next week. Maybe that'll be our opening segment of our 1 year anniversary. Will be Kevin and Brian in the Newlyweds game,
That's funny.
and then we'll do American Gladiators. It'll be great. We have played a fair amount of 1-on-1 over the years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I won every time.
Absolutely not. Okay.
All
Get
right.
out of here.
All right, moving on. Top 5.
Speaking of game shows, this is our own game show.
Yeah,
I've been I've been on a hot streak lately.
you're going first. You're
yeah.
quizzing me first.
Oh yeah, so this is good. There was a fair amount of controversy in Seattle sports media this past week.
Yes, there was.
KJR host who shall not be named
Fair.
made fun of Ryan Roland Smith's accent. And if you go back and listen to the clip, and this was on KJR, he like doubled down on it after reading a text message and just kept on making fun of the accent. And
Yeah.
I had never seen Seattle sports media just kind of everyone hated this guy.
Yep.
He's a brand new radio host, maybe 3 months into the job, just throws another dude under the bus
Yep.
for completely unfair reasons. And then he reemerges 2 days later, starts his show off with an apology, but everyone hates him.
Yep.
I don't think he can recover. I really don't. I don't think people are ever going to forgive him. I won't. I'll never listen to his show. Anyways, so I was thinking of announcers and I was like, can I come up with a trivia question about announcers?
Ooh.
And I do have one.
How could you? Okay, we'll see how this goes.
So there's this thing called the Sports Emmy Awards.
Okay.
And in front of me, I have multiple wins by personality. And this is just national. Like, I think of sports commentators of all time,
Okay.
people that have won multiple Emmys. Can you name five of these people?
They're not Seattle sports.
Not Seattle sports, just announcers in general, all the sports.
Bob Costas.
Yeah, number one, 28 wins.
Brent
Oh,
Musburger.
nope.
What? That's not true.
He's never, well, he might have won one, but he didn't win two.
I don't believe you.
So you have to win more than two.
I don't believe you. I think you're wrong. Okay. Weird. Wow, that really threw me off. Brent Musburger's like the second most famous announcer, I feel like, of all time. Um, Geez.
These are all household names.
Well, yeah, Brent Musburger is a household name. In fact, I'm going to Google it now to see how many Emmys he won since you're wrong. This is great.
You're really
Great
upset
for the
about this.
podcast. Because I think you're wrong. Well, he won the Emmy Lifetime Achievement Award, so it feels like that one might fit. He's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but you know what? Let's not count him here. What? Yeah, I probably shouldn't Google this because this will ruin it. All right, I'll just go Keith Jackson.
Yes, three wins. I was almost afraid he was going to be on
I
there.
was, yeah,
You're going to walk out.
it was gonna be something. I
That's
wasn't gonna
two.
walk out, but it was something.
You
Also,
got two.
um, I don't know if this one will be on there, but I'm gonna go for Pat Summerall.
No,
Mm.
no.
See, I think this is where I'm going wrong. I don't know what the category is for like a play-by-play person, right? Although Keith Jackson was play-by-play.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I'll just tell you, and then you can kind of get a sense for what the categories probably would have been. So 16 wins is at the next most. Chris Collinsworth and John Madden both have 16.
See, that's silly. Why would Chris Collinsworth have 16 and Brett Musburger has one? What are we doing here?
Um, I'll name some other ones.
I like
Joe,
that you just move on. You're just like, yeah, what am I supposed to do with
I've
this?
never heard of these people. Jim McKay and Mike Emmerich.
Yeah,
They both
I
have
don't know Mike
9
Emmerich,
wins.
but okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jim McKay, I don't know. 7 wins. Joe Buck, Ernie
Oh,
Johnson, Al
Jim
Michaels.
Nance. Jim Nance has got to be on there.
Yeah, he has 2 wins along with Joe Morgan, Ken Rosenthal, and Michelle Tafoya.
I'm looking at the list that you found now. Joe
Yeah.
Buck,
Joe
Ernie
Buck's,
Johnson.
yeah.
This is silly. I'm mad. I'm mad. I could have done better. This is weird. Harold Reynolds has 3 and Brett Musburger has 1. Like, what are we doing?
Why do you like Brett Musburger so much?
I don't. I just think
You
he's
just
like,
know he's famous.
he's
Yeah.
like iconic for 30 years on college football. As a
Yeah.
college football fan, I think you would feel stronger about this. And yet we're going to give Harold Reynolds, no offense, Harold Reynolds, 3 Emmys.
Yeah.
And Chris Collinsworth, who can't say the words pass rush, has 16. Well, are you ready for yours?
Man, fired up. Also,
Okay,
Brett Musburger he got old and started saying out of pocket things.
No, totally. Yeah, I'm not advocating in the last 10 years he should have won one, by the way. He said some real out of pocket stuff.
I
Yes.
can't believe he's still employed. He's
That's
85.
also crazy, right?
Yeah.
But I did hear something on another podcast that said, when you hear Brent Musburger's voice on a college football game, it feels like a big game.
Yeah.
And I would put Kirk Herbstreit in that category with Chris Fowler now.
Yeah.
And Herbstreit, I know, is on that list because I just looked it up. I think
Yeah.
he's great. Keith Jackson was that way when I was growing up for Rose Bowls.
Yep.
And I don't know if we have that in all sports,
Yeah.
Football, because they trade the Super Bowl between people, to me, like Joe Buck and Troy Aikman make it feel like big now.
Yeah.
Jim Nance and Tony Romo are pretty good. Anyway, we can talk about that at a different time. Can you let me share my screen because I have a visual for you?
Yeah. Yeah. Here we go.
Yeah, this is exciting.
Um,
I think this will show up on the feed, but it's not a big deal if it doesn't.
wait, how do I let you?
Oh,
my
come
God, this is
on.
bad. We're gonna have to edit this
That's
out.
we don't have to show screen.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Okay.
You should be able to now.
Okay, yeah, perfect. All right, Kev. Can you see on your screen some positions there with blanks.
Yeah.
It was basically I found a Sporkle type website,
Yeah.
and I thought this was great. So your trivia today, and maybe if people are watching on video, gives people incentive. You can play along. We're looking for one-time Mariner All Stars. Okay.
Yeah.
Hitter edition. So no pitchers. There's lots of pitchers, one-time All-Star. You have to get 5, but I thought it was fair to give you the positions. So obviously center field, the one with 10 is Ken Griffey Jr., right?
Yeah.
And right field with 10 is Ichiro.
Yeah.
And DH with 7 is Edgar, right?
I'm so
So
ready for this.
I
I
knew
was
you
born
weren't going to
for
guess
this.
any of those 3, so I used that as an example,
Yeah.
right? So you have to get ones that are only one-time All-Stars. Part of the reason I bring this up is your Seattle Mariners. We'll go a little positive at the end here. Cal Raleigh has not made an All-Star team yet,
Yep.
and I think he'll be a one-time All-Star this year, even if he falls off a little bit. So we'll add Cal Raleigh to the list. But until then, who are the one-time All-Star hitter
I was
edition Seattle
born
Mariners?
for this. Jose Vidro. Oh no, Jose Lopez. Sorry, got my Jose's mixed up.
I'll give it to you. Jose Vidro is a great poll of just people. I Jose
got my
Vidro,
Jose's mixed
when
up.
he played for the Montreal Expos, was definitely on my fantasy team. He was awesome. But you're right, Jose Lopez, ding, ding, ding.
Second
Nice
base.
job. Second base. Yep, fill one of those. So we have another second base you could use, but you also have 2 shortstops. You got 2 outfielder. The outfield thing's weird. I don't know why they have outfield and then center field, right field.
Yeah.
It's weird. And left field,
Kyle
it's weird.
Seager is a one-time All-Star.
Kyle Seager is a one-time All-Star. You are 2 for 2, and again proving you are much better at this category. Or I provide better questions.
Also, Kenji Jojima is a one-time All-Star. No, Dan Wilson. Dan Wilson is
Okay,
a
you have a strike, but then you also got Dan Wilson, so you're
Yeah,
at 3. But
1997.
I'm giving you the strike for Kenji.
Okay.
You know what? You don't get the strike. I'm going to be a nice guy because I didn't tell you anything before you corrected yourself. So that's fair. That's fair.
Franklin Gutierrez is a one-time All-Star.
He is not a one-time All-Star. No Franklin Gutierrez on
fire.
this one.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there are people you can absolutely get who are on this list still. Yeah.
All right. I'll keep on going. Raul Ibanez.
No. So you're out. That was quick. No Raul Ibanez. The right fielder who's a one-time All-Star is Jay Buhner.
That was
Only
going to be
one
my
time.
next guess, but
Yeah.
I felt like it was just burning. Okay.
The outfield spot, which is weird. I don't know why it's not center, but Julio has the 2. Mitch Haniger has one of the ones. He's a one-time All-Star. Gene Segura at shortstop is a fun one.
Forgettable.
My guy Jim Presley at third base, who I
Would have
think I've
never
told
got
you,
that. Yeah.
my favorite player growing up. The first base is fun, so I'll just finish out with the first baseman. Okay. Well, Joey Cora at second base, also a good one.
Who are the third basemen besides Seager?
Bruce Bochy, old time for besides Seager.
yeah.
Sorry, it was Jim Presley was the other third baseman.
Okay.
And the 4-timer was Alex Rodriguez, which is actually BS because he was a shortstop.
Yep.
He didn't play third base in Seattle at all. So, but that didn't change your answers necessarily, right? So first basemen were Bruce Bochy, Alvin Davis, Tino Martinez, John Olerud, Ty France, and my favorite, Dan Vogelbach, who was a one-time All-Star
What?
for the Seattle Mariners. Yep.
Vogelbach made the All-Star team for the
Yep.
Mariners?
He had a great first half. It was amazing. That's a great piece of trivia right there.
God.
Great piece. He's not even in baseball. He doesn't have a team right now. By the way, Mariners should probably pick him up.
Yeah. Could you
Okay.
imagine him and Tellez in the same lineup back to back?
Yeah, the problem is they're both lefties, so they have no one to platoon with each other. But yeah, be a good one. Yeah, there you go. Episode 51. It's a wrap.
Episode 51. Thanks for joining us. See you next week.